Hey everyone, this is Chris Crazy House here again with some more Chris Crazy commentary. If you like my commentaries and you enjoy this channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to it, as well as liking this video. And if you think it's something that other people will appreciate, go ahead and share it on your social media platforms. I would very much appreciate that. Today I wanted to talk about the failures and the losses of this new Avengers game that came out. How long ago did it come out? Maybe a few months ago. And even in the midst of a quarantine and people being at home and having plenty of time to play video games, this Avengers game has not done well at all. And even with it being produced by Square Enix, it's still not doing well at all. And the latest news is that the Avengers game lost 96% of its players. 96%. That's a big number. And that's tough, considering how fickle the game market is and how people are always looking for that next surge and that next wave and the next thing to entertain them as far as games go. That's still a humongous drop off. And what makes it even worse is that it's for an IP, a property that is extremely popular. The Avengers, as others have said, and even in some of the articles I've read, the Avengers is almost like a license to go ahead and just print money. The Avengers IP is a very big IP, and the fact that this game did not do well doesn't look good for Marvel or for Square. Both have lost a lot of money, and it hurts their other properties as well, since some of this stuff is so connected nowadays with the way multimedia is marketed and how it's produced. That hurts both sides when it comes to whatever they're doing next. So I'm going to give you my ideas and my thoughts as to why this Avengers game has not been doing very well. Now, I've heard a lot of talk online. A lot of people are blaming purely identity politics, maybe saying that they're trying to cram diversity down the players' throats by having the young female Captain Marvel in as like the main character. That's part of it. I don't think that's what kept people away from the game, because a lot of people logged on to play it at first, and even so, even when I brought this question up about why this game did so bad on my social media, on my Facebook. If you want to follow me there, please go there on Facebook. I will provide the link in the description box. But even when I brought it up there, people were saying that they bought it at first and were excited about it. There's a lot of hype and excitement around this game, but they didn't get what they felt that they paid for. And I can understand that totally. That's how I feel about a lot of modern games. I feel like, just from my personal philosophy as someone who has worked in entertainment, especially as someone who's worked in games, mostly social games though, there is an idea of playability and fun that a lot of mainstream games don't really have these days. They're so worried about being more cinematic and being more realistic, they forget that these things need to be fun. They need to be enjoyable. It is called a game for a reason. And you have a lot of people from different disciplines that come into games and think that they know better than either the original creators or the people who buy and play these games. You know what I mean? Like, you have people who used to be writers in Hollywood or writers for TV coming in to write some of these games, and a lot of them really don't know what they're doing. Just because they think because they can write a TV show that they can write an interactive experience, and it's two different animals. There are some things that overlap, there are some things that are the same, but when it comes to, you know, coming up with an interactive experience for somebody, there's a lot that goes into that. Like, you know, I love watching documentaries about the creation of classic games that I played when I was growing up. Like, I always try to find them online, whether it be the Gaming Historian or others, where they just talk about the creation of classic games like Mario or Kung Fu or Gauntlet or whatever, or Golden Axe or Double Dragon. Just looking at the history and just the ideas that these people came up with for making these games. Like, the main thing that I always get from reading about the creation of a lot of these classic games that we all know and love is that there was so much limit to the technology that they had to figure out a way for the game to still be fun for the player. So you have these classic retro games that were limited in their technology, but they were immensely fun. And because they didn't have the same memory where you could just save something, people were replaying these games over and over and over again. And now you have the ability to have full-on 3D graphics, cinematics, and adventures, and multiple gameplays, and multiple characters. And the whole fun of gaming has gone down. You know, it's like we've traded off one for the other. You know, when I was a kid, I was waiting for this day. I knew this day would come where games would be such a great experience and the visuals are always going to get better. Like, I was always obsessed with that as far as like graphics. And, you know, I was a super nerd, so I was always into learning about different types of graphics cards, different types of screens. And then once I got into art school, I learned about the different formats for creating video and stuff like that. So I've always been into that. And I knew this day would come, that we would start getting more beautiful, fully rendered, realistic type games out there. And I remember looking forward to it. But now that we're here, I gotta say, I don't know if I like what has been done with it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some great games out there. Like, just to compare another Marvel game, the Spider-Man games are great. They have their flaws, they're not perfect, but I like those a lot better and have had more fun with those than I did with the Avengers game. Like, I didn't even want to buy the Avengers game. Like, I looked at the demos, I played the demos, and I was just like, this game is boring. I don't think I want to even continue anymore. But like I said, the Spider-Man games, I think they got the idea a lot better. You have a decent story, and you have a lot of the classic Spider-Man storylines and villains portrayed in that story, and they wrote it well, where it kind of tied them all in a good way. And you had fun playing it. That was the main thing. You had fun playing as Spider-Man. So I thought they got the idea more than this Avengers game. Now, the reason I think it didn't do well is basically because they advertised this is an Avengers game, and basically is a Miss Marvel game. And yes, I know you get to play as some of the other characters, but it did not feel like an Avengers game. And I think they really dropped the ball as far as a storytelling for a game that should have been extremely epic and should have just been an amazingly epic game altogether. When you have this many characters and you have the use of the plethora of characters in the Marvel Universe. If I was in charge of production or direction for this game, the first thing I would have made everyone do is go watch the Avengers cartoon Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Because I thought that was probably the best interpretation of the Avengers outside of the comics. Even better than the movies. I like the movies, I enjoy them, I have fun with them. But as far as the classic storytelling and classic adventures from the comics and bringing that all to life and writing the show seamlessly, where you can go from one event and threat. They combine all the great events and threats from the Avengers comics, from all the years of Avengers comics, and condensed it into 2 seasons. I thought that was an amazing animated show, and I don't think it gets the credit that it truly deserves. It was one of the probably the best well done Marvel cartoon out there. You know, DC kicks their butt all the time when it comes to their animated shows, but that show I think stands up and stands out as far as one of the best Marvel animated shows, other than probably the X-Men. But you notice in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, they were able to have all those classic villains in the show and do it in a good way. Like, that's why I thought the Avengers game was going to be when they first announced that they were going to do it. But having so much focus just on AIM and, you know, one villain sprinkled here and there, I thought that was very much a letdown. And even the story just trying to find the other Avengers. And I remember looking at just watching some of the screen time people playing. They had like these little loose missions and whatever, like with Tony trying to power up his armor or something like that. I don't remember it because it was boring. It wasn't anything that I even cared about. This game could have been so much better had they just have made an Avengers game. Stop being scared to use the IP that you're given. And if in my opinion, like, you know, why try to do a small story when you can truly do a grand epic story with these great characters? You can't pull back and do small stuff, especially after the way the movies have portrayed these characters, and people were waiting for that. If it was up to me, I'd have had every major Avengers villain I could fit into the game at some levels during the gameplay. I'd have had them fight Loki. I'd have had them fight Kang the Conqueror. I'd have had a part where they fought Ultron and a whole bunch of Ultron's robots. You could have had them fight AIM and MODOK. You could have had them fight Hydra and the Red Skull. You could have had them add some more of the cosmic stuff in there and finally have them like fight Thanos at the end. That would have been fantastic. But and I would have had the Masters of Evil in there as well. I'd have had Baron Zemo with a new Masters of Evil. Take some of the characters from the movie and make your own Masters of Evil. That was a missed opportunity. That's the easy way to make this game, as a matter of fact. Take a lot of the characters the villains that have appeared in the movies and make them a Masters of Evil to fight the Avengers. That's an easier sell than what they came up with. That's what I would have done. But, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like these people didn't think that way, and they've paid the price for it. It's not doing as well as it should have, and they've wasted a lot of time, effort, and money. Now, let me just say, as an artist and an animator, no disrespect to the people who worked on this game, you guys did an amazing job. Okay, I know some people have problems with the character designs, and I agree with that. I don't like the character designs, but I don't blame the artist for that. I blame whoever the director is for that. The director probably, or whoever decided what was the final designs, that's their fault. That's not the artist's fault. They have to go along with whatever their directors say. But to me, I don't blame you guys. You guys did a phenomenal job as best you could with the material that you were given. And I'm sorry that you didn't get to make a more fun, playable game. So, I mean, those are my thoughts on why the Avengers game did not do well and how it could have been improved. I would say make the game more closer to the comics. You don't need the classic costumes, but make the game more classic to the comics as far as the storytelling, the villains. You could have so much fun. Like this, a Marvel game that was fun that had a whole bunch of characters was the Ultimate Alliance games that came out back in the day. That was a fun game. But like I said, people, they trade in just good graphics and good animation and facial features for fun and playability. Hell, I have more fun playing Street Fighter versus Marvel, or Capcom versus Marvel, than I had playing this. But and those didn't have the same fun or close to realistic graphics as this does. That was more cartoony, but I enjoyed that game a hell of a lot more. So, I mean, you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. If you've played the Avengers game, if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, or if you felt it was a flop, like a lot of people seem to think. I mean, 96% of the players dropped off since it launched. That's a high number there, folks. Anyway, you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments. This is Chris Crazy House signing out. Peace.